of your polymorphism. So when you have polymorphism, we actually have two kinds of function calls. So one is one function call is with static binding. The other one is with dynamic binding. Now, depending on what is the so when you have a hierarchy like this, let us say. So say this is your object. Sorry, this is your superclass, right? And from here, say you are deriving another class, right? So this is another class, and from here, again you are creating another subclass like this, okay? And when you say so there can be as we have seen from yesterday's example, for example, So this may be your employee class, and okay, so this is your employee class, and then this may be your full-time employee class, okay? For example, again from full-time employee class, I can define another class called as a manager, okay, which will contain the details which are specific to manager, okay? And we have written an str function here, which will print the basic details of employee, and then we have overridden this str function in full-time employee. Similarly, we have overridden this str function in part-time employee, okay? And those str functions in turn, they will call the str function that is available in superclass in order to get the basic details, in order to print the basic detail. So here, I can have a part-time employee, okay? And then say to a part-time employee, say you have from part-time employee, say we define another class, okay? For example, say they are having say a separate manager, okay? So this manager is for managing your part-time employees, and this manager is for managing full-time employees. Say this we call it as a P manager, and this is we call it as a F manager, okay? So like this, you can hierarchically specialize each and every class, okay? You can just add on some features, to each and every class, and you can create a new class, okay? So this is a very generic class. If you take the employee, this is very generic class. Whereas, these classes, they are more specific classes, okay? So this is not applicable for all the classes here, but employee class, it is applicable for all the classes, that are defined in the hierarchy. And similarly, when you take the manager class versus your full-time employee, the full-time employee class, it is a generic class when you compare it with manager class. This is a very specific class, okay? And we have seen how to override a particular function, in that is present in superclass, how to rewrite the same function in subclasses, okay? So that is your the function or the method with the same name, but with different number of parameters, or the same function which is redefined in superclass and subclass. So these concepts are called as polymorphism. And in polymorphism, we actually have two kinds of polymorphism, one is static, which will bind the function call to the particular method during compile time. So that is what we mean by static binding. And another thing is, which is called it as a dynamic binding. And here, we don't know. So we don't know, which function to invoke. So that will be decided during the runtime. Okay, so that is what we mean by dynamic polymorphism or dynamic binding. For example, let us say, I have a method here. For example, say here we have a method called as say get, okay, tenure or manager. Okay, so how many years he is going to be a manager? Let us say there is a method here, get tenure. This will get the details of what is the start date of the manager and what is the end date of the manager. And this particular method, it is available only in this manager class, okay? There can be a get tenure here also, okay? But if you see, these two are not related to each other, okay? So this is an independent class, and this is an independent class, okay? Now as soon as I see a method, for example, I create an object for F manager, okay? Say I create fm, and then I say fm dot get tenure, Okay. Now, as soon as right you see your what is the object here, right? During compile time itself, right? It knows that it has to call the get tenure function, and this get tenure function where it is present in your F manager class. So this can be decided immediately because right get tenure is available only in this class. It is not available in the super classes of F manager. Here it is not there, and here also it is not there. So in the super classes it is not there. Only it is present in the subclass, right? In the F manager subclass. So whenever you say get tenure, whenever you see this call, you definitely know that you are going to call this function that is available in F manager. So that is what we mean by static binding. We will know, we will bind this function call with the method that it has to be invoked, right? So this has some code, right? So this method that we have to invoke with this function call, this binding, this is occurring during the compile time itself. During compile time itself, we know that this is the method that we are going to call. Okay. Whereas, right, in the case of a dynamic binding, for example, right, take the case of a str function. Str function, right, it is written in employee class. There is an str function here. There is also an str function available in full-time employee class. There is also an str function available in, you can also write an str function in F manager class. Okay. Now, when I have such a str functions, okay, now, right, depending on, now when I say fm dot, say print, right, print fm, okay, so now this will invoke your str. Now suppose, right, if this str is not defined, okay, then right, it has to go and search all the super classes of F manager. But this searching, it will not occur during compile time. Okay, so this searching, it will occur only during the runtime. So dynamic binding, depending on, right, depending on what is the kind of object, what is the type of this object, based on that, which method to invoke, right? So that binding, right? So the function call with the actual method that has to be invoked, that binding, it can be decided only during the runtime. Okay. So which method to be called for print fm, right? Which method to call? So that is decided only during runtime. So that is your dynamic binding. Okay. Now why this dynamic binding becomes a problem? For example, right? So one scenario is this str function if you are not defining in F manager and you are calling print fm. Now what is the behavior I'm expecting? I'm expecting that the str function that is present in immediate superclass of F manager, that is that the str function present in full-time employee class. So that it has to call. Okay. Now, so what will happen if this str is also not there? Then, right, the str that is present in the superclass of full-time employee, right, the employee class. So that str it has to be called. Okay. So the call, right, it is getting transferred from the subclasses to superclasses, right, depending on what is the object that you are invoking. Okay. It is depending on what is the object you are invoking. In suppose, right, you are creating an object for full-time employee. Okay. So let us say, right, for full-time employee, I have an object, say called as FEMPL. Okay. Now, if I use, right, print FEMPL, right? Now imagine that, right, I'm not having str function that is defined here. Let us say this str function is not there. Then in that case, right, it has to go and search the superclass of this full-time employee. So in this superclass, we have a str function. So it will go and execute this function. Okay. So from the point of that particular object till the highest superclass we have, it will go and search all the str functions, right, that are available, and it will bind that str function to this function call. So that is what we mean by dynamic binding. Okay. Wherein, right, the method that you want to call, that we don't know until runtime. Okay. Only during runtime we will know that this is the method, right? This is the method that we are going to call. Okay. So if the method is same, if it is not present in both the superclasses and subclasses, then we know it immediately. What is the method that it has to be called? That we know it immediately, right? And so there will not be any confusion, right, in that. So this is the last point, right, that we discussed it here. So next, right, we will move on to GUI programming, okay, using Python. So in order to write execute GUI programming, now what I do is, so you would have installed Python. So there is an IDE that comes along with this Python. Okay. Now for GUI to work, you have to have a Python version 3.5 and above. So you try to install at least 3.6, right? From 3.6, you try to install, or you take the latest version that is available, and then you start from there. Now, so I have a version 3.9.5. So from here, you go to file and you create a file. Okay, you can say new file and you can type the file that is here. Okay, so first, right, let us execute one program, and then we will see what it is made up of. Okay, now I'm taking the example that is available from the textbook. Okay, now we are going to use, so there are several graphical programming is available. Okay, now the package that we are going to see is tkinter. Okay, so it is called whether it is a tkinter or tk and inter. Okay, so this tk inter, uh, there are actually, right, there is also a module called as turtle. So this is a package that is available in Python. Okay, and which is used to draw some lines and circles. Okay, and for example, if you want to create an animation, or if you want to create a game, right, you can use this turtle package. Now the one that we are going to use is called as a tkinter. This tkinter, it is used to create buttons and labels, just like you see it in your web page, right? So the objective of your the GUI programming that is available in your syllabus, the objective is to create a web-based application, okay, or a web-based interface. So we are going to see this tkinter. Okay, if our objective is to draw some animations, then we should have discussed the functions that are available in turtle module or turtle package. Okay, now, so how it works, let us see. So let us execute this program. Now how to type this program? Now what I do is, from here I have selected file and then a new file. So from here you go to file, new file. So that will create this window. Okay, so from this window, so whatever the program you want to type, so you type it here. Okay, so it is, we are defining two functions, right? So this is, right, this is, we are importing all the functions that are available in tkinter module. Okay, so whatever in that package, whatever the functions that are available, so we are just importing them. Okay, so that we can use it here. And then we are defining two functions, right? One is called as process. Okay, that's another function. All right, so every GUI, right, it is going to have a window. Okay, so you have to define a window. Now this window, right, it is coming from tk. Okay, so in tkinter, there is a sub package or a sub module called as tk. Now we are using this tk in order to create a one window. Okay, and then we are creating two buttons. We are placing it inside the window, and the name of the button is OK. This is the name of the button, and then the color of that button, right? So it is red. And when you click that button, what will happen? Okay, so when you click that button, we are calling process OK. This function is getting called. Similarly, right, for creating another button which is called as cancel. So this is again a button. We are sticking it to the window, and then the label, right, or the name for that button, it is cancel, and then the background color of that, okay, is yellow. And when you click that button, what do you want to do? We are going to call this function, which is called as process cancel. Now, right, we have to place this buttons right inside the window. So you can place it anywhere, right? Anywhere in the layout of that window. So we are placing it right by default, right? In the default layout, we are placing it. Say pack. Similarly, cancel dot pack. Okay. After that, we are starting a main loop. So this window will be waiting in a infinite loop in order to receive the events from the user. Okay. So this is a simple right demo program that we have. So after that, right, you save this program. Okay. So to save this, I'm calling it as gr2.py. And then, right, if you want to run it, you can go here and click run. Okay. Now, if you see, now this is the window that we have created. Okay. Now, if you see the code, let us see the code. Now, see, this is a function definition. This is right. Now, if you see here, this is a process. Okay, this is a function definition. This is also a function definition. Process cancel. This is also a function definition, right? And this is where we are creating a window. Okay, so window is equal to tk. Now, this is where we are creating this window. What do you mean by window? This is a window. Okay, so in this window, we are placing two buttons. One button is with the text OK. Another button is with the text cancel. You see here, this is one button. Okay, and this is another button, right? Cancel. So if you see the first button, the OK button, right? So text is equal to OK. It means that the label of that button. So I'm now above the button, right? On top of the button, what is the name you want to display? So that you have to define it in text. Okay, and where this button is defined, this button is defined inside this window. Okay, so we have window, comma, what is the name of that button? That is OK, and what is the color of that button? You see here foreground color. Now foreground color is used for your fonts, right? So whatever the text that you type, right, that color, if you want to change it, so you use an FG. FG, it means that foreground color. Okay, and then right on pressing this button, if I press this button, what will happen? If I press this button, process OK, this function will be called. And when this function is called, it is printing OK button is clicked. This message will be printed to the console. Okay. So similarly, when you click process cancel, it will print cancel button is clicked. This message will be printed to the console. Okay. So those are these two things. And then right, see the OK button and cancel button can be placed anywhere in this window. Okay. So you can place it somewhere here or somewhere in the center, right? But right, by default layout, what do you mean by default layout is starting from here at this particular place, you start placing the components one by one. Okay, so here we don't call these things as components. So here, right, we call them as widgets. Okay, so this is a widget and this is a widget. So these widgets, it can be placed anywhere inside this window, and we are trusting the default layout that is available within this window. Okay, so just you say pack. Now this pack, right, it will place this button inside this window. Okay, similarly, right, you say for this button also you say pack, so it will place this button right inside this window. Okay, and after that, once we have placed these two buttons, right, see the objective of event driven programming. Now what is an event driven programming? You take any website. Okay, let's take our Python website. Okay, so if you see here, now this is a link that is available here. If I click this, now it is redirecting me to the different page, and this is a different page. Okay, and from here, right, we are having several links are again available. If I click this, you just see what is happening to the URL. So it is invoking another web page here, that is install. Okay, and say this. Now if I go and click again another, right, now right, so it is redirecting me to another web page here. So this is what, right, we mean by an event driven programming. Now if you see, this is a web page that we are showing it to the user, or a window that we are showing it to the user, and there are several options that are available in this window. Okay, for example, a user can go and click any of the links that are available in here, and then right when he clicks, what is the action that you want to perform? So when you are presenting this window, when you are presenting this web page, right, you have to wait for some event to happen. Now, what do you mean by an event? A user can go and click any of the links that is available here. That is an event. Okay, a mouse click is an event. Or right, I can use a control by using the keypad, right? By using the keyboard, I can go and select a particular link and then click enter. So that is another event. Okay, so that is a keyboard event. Whereas right, if you go and click it, that is a mouse event. Okay, and mouse events are many are there, right? Your left click, your right click. What will happen if I click the mouse when the mouse goes down? What will happen if the mouse comes up? Right. So there are several events that are available. So what is the behavior that you want to program on each of those events? So that is what we mean by event-driven programming. Okay, and in all the event-driven programming. Now this is a web page, right, that we are seeing it in today's era. Now if you go and see, right, the web pages that are created using Java, right? So there, right, there is a high probability that the web page may get hanged. Okay, after some time, right, it may get hanged whenever, right, it causes an exception or a violation. Now here, right, since right everything is being handled correctly. Now whenever, right, you don't have a dead links here, right, you don't have any links that is not working, right. This is a thoroughly tested web page. Okay, so you will not get any error here, right. So there are, right, suppose if you are trying to access something which is not present here. Okay, now, right, you will get maybe here it has been redirected to the home page, right, or you may get a error page, right, stating that that particular page is not available. Okay, so the event driven programming, it waits for the user to invoke an event. It just waits for the user's reaction, right. It will capture the user reaction, and then, right, after that, right, it will try to do whatever the behavior that we have defined for that user. Okay, for that event. So how will you make this window, right? So this is the so if you see here, now we have created a window. Now this is the window we have. How will you make this window to react to the user events? Okay, for example, the user may go and click this OK. The user may go and click this cancel, right? So what will happen, right? What is the behavior that we want to do? What we want to define? So for that, right, we are so the behavior that we are defining inside this window, right? So that we write it in the form of a function, right? So we see the program. Let's come back to our program. I'm closing this, right? I'm coming back to the main screen. Now this is the program we have. So if you see here, this window, it is waiting in a loop. Okay, so it is executing a loop and it is waiting. Now what is this loop? So this is the loop we have. So this is what window.main loop is doing. So this particular function, right, this particular statement, what it is doing. So it will start an event loop, okay, and then it will wait for the user, whether the user presses anything or whether the user clicks anything. Okay, so it detects and processes those events. Suppose what will happen if I click that OK. So what will happen if I click that OK? That behavior, it is already written inside the your function. So if I go and click this OK, so what is happening? It will go and execute the function process OK. Now there is a function called as process OK. So this code will be executed, and as a result, whatever we have the statements written here. So the OK button is clicked. This message will be printed to the console. As a result, right, you can see this is your program and this is your console. Now you see here, when I click this OK button, now it is saying that OK button is clicked. When I click this cancel button, it's saying that cancel button is clicked. Okay, I have pressed it only for one time. Okay, now so that behavior, right, we are defining it here. Similarly, right, for cancel button also, that behavior we are defining it here. And how your button has to look, right, there are several properties that are available, right, within the button. For example, right, what is the property called as text? There is a property called as FG. There is a property called as BG, right? So this is for FG is for foreground color, BG is for background color. Text is for what is the text that you want to display it on top of that button. Okay, so here we want to display it as OK. Here we want to display it as cancel. Okay, so this is how, right, a GUI program will look like. And window.main loop, as I told you, right, window.main loop, It will wait for the event to happen. Suppose if the event happens, right, and then it will go and execute the appropriate function, which is defined as an event handler. So that we call it as a event handler. Now, event handler is, for example, for this button OK button, event handler is this process OK function. This is a event handler function. Similarly, when the user goes and clicks cancel, it is calling process cancel function. So this function is called as a event handler function. Okay, so it just waits for the events to happen. Suppose if you have closed it, right, if you close the main window, then right it will terminate, right, until right you don't close the main window, it will again, right, once, see, suppose right I click an event, I'm running it again. Okay, now this is the window we have. I'm clicking this. After clicking OK button is clicked. A process OK is been called and this message I am getting. Okay, after this message is been displayed, now it is again coming back to this window. This window is not closed. It is still waiting for some other event to happen. Okay, so it has to wait in an infinite loop, right? So there may be several events that may happen inside your window. Okay, so just because right you take one event and then right I have clicked this button click cancel. Now right, just because I have processed this button click cancel, I will not end this program in my program. Your program will wait in an infinite loop, so that right some other event, some other user behavior may be captured. Okay, so the user so it just waits in an infinite loop, right? So unless right until I just go and close this window. Okay, if I close this window, then it terminates my program. So you see here, if I close the main window, if yes, then your program gets terminated. Otherwise, after processing one event, it will go back and it will wait for the next event to happen. That is why, right, you are having a loop here. So this is an infinite loop. It waits in an infinite. So this is the purpose of your window dot main loop. So this is the purpose of your window dot main loop. When you say window dot main loop, that is the flowchart corresponding to window dot main loop. Okay. So this is your first GUI program, just as defined in your textbook. Okay. So we will see one more program. So I am closing the window. Let us see. So this is the window we have. I'm closing this window. As soon as I close the window, right now it is coming back to the command prompt. You see here. So to the prompt, right, it is coming back. And I have opened this, right. If you want, right, I can also close this. So go to file, close. Okay. So I have closed it. Now if you see, right, I'm not having any other window. So again, right, let us create another program. So I'll already have one program. Okay. So this is the program we have now. So as usual, you just import tk inter, right, and then you say one flexible syntax, as you can see, from tk inter import star. Now this means, right, all the modules will get imported. Okay. Another way of importing is you can just say import tk inter. Okay. In this case, so this is similar to import your math function, right? So in this case, right, you have to say math.p. Suppose you want pi value, you have to say math.pi. So similarly, here we have to say tk inter.tk. If you are saying import tk inter, then right every time you want something, some widget or some component from tk inter class, then you have to say tk inter dot the function name. Okay, so this will create one window, tk inter.tk. This will create one window, and the name of the window is window. Okay, and the for that, right, for this window there is a title component. Now title is for example, right, you take this case, this is a window, the one, right, which we are using it as an editor, this is also a window, right, and here this is your title, the gr1.py, right, what is the path where it has been stored. So this is the title of that window. Okay, so similarly, right, for our window we can place a title which we call it as a GUI program. Okay, now so let us run up to this, then we will see. Okay. Now I have run it. You see here, this is the output of this window. Now what is the title of my window? It is GUI program. So I'm getting it correctly. Okay. So I'm closing it. So coming back to your program. So we are getting the title as GUI program. Next, right, we are placing a label. Now what do you mean by a label? Take the case of your Gmail. Suppose I'm adding another account. Okay, now you are seeing this. This is a now if I click this, it is saying right email or phone. Now this is a label, right? This is a label for what it is expecting. What it is expecting the user to type here. Okay, whereas this is a text box. Now this one is something, right, which we use it for entering something by the user. Okay, so if the user wants to enter something, right, enter some text or enter some number, right, then we are using a text box here. So this text box, but for this text box we are providing a label, and that label is email or phone. Okay, so this is a label, whereas right this one is a text box. And then right if you see here, this is a link that is available, right? This is again a link, this is again a link. Now if I place it right, I'm getting it. Whereas right this one is a button. Okay, next is a button. Now if I go and click this, right, you see here there is a behavior that is defined. So some function is getting called, and it is validating whether the user has entered email or phone. If the user haven't entered, then it is throwing an exception, right, that you have to enter an email or phone in order to continue. Okay, so this is a button that we have. Okay, so this is like title of that window, right? Google is a title of that window, and these are the additional text messages that we display to the user. Okay, so you take any web page, right? It is always made up of your labels, buttons. So these will be the components of. So what you can do with TK Inter, right? So these are all the widgets we have. You can create any one of these widgets. You can create a button, you can create a canvas, you can create a check button, a checkbox. You can create a text box, which is called as an entry. Okay, you can create a frame, you can create a label, you can create a menu button, message, radio button. You can say text. Okay, so these are the different widgets that are available in TK Inter GUI. Now let us see this program. So first thing is we have created a window, and then we have provided a title for that window, which is called as GUI programming. Next, right, let us create a label. Okay, so there is a so in TK Inter, right, in this module, there is a method called as label. Okay, a class called as label. So we are just invoking an object for the class. And what is the constructor? To this constructor, what we are passing? So we are passing in which window we want this label. So we are creating with respect to this window. Okay, and then write what is the text that we want to display it on that label. Okay, so we want hello world to display on that label. Okay, and then we have label.pack. So this will place the label, this label that you have created. This will place it inside the window. Okay, so there are two parts in creating a widget. One thing is you have to configure, you have to say what are all the parameters of that. Okay, just like this is like creating an object, and these are all the parameters that we pass to the constructor of that object. Whereas right, this is after creating a particular widget, then you have to place that widget. To place that widget, you can use simply pack. Okay, so there are several other options that are available. So for the time being, we will see pack. Okay, so this will place the label inside your window. Okay, so this window that we have created, so it will place the window. Okay, so how will it knows that this label has to be placed inside this window? Because right, you have packed it, right? You already have this window. This label is binded to this window. So when you say pack, right, this label will be displayed in this window. Okay, so similarly, right, there is a, if we are defining a text box here. Text box, the name, if you want to create a text box, you have to say tkinter.entry. Okay, so entry is a widget which is used to receive some input from the user. Okay, and what is the width of that text box? The width of the text box is 20. So that means right, 20 characters I can enter. I'm expecting the user to enter 20 characters. 20 characters will be visible to the user. Okay, if it is beyond the 20 characters, it will start scrolling. Okay, and then right, this txt. Now what is the name of the text box? That is txt. So just like right, what is the name of this label? Is label, right? All in small letters. So here, right, what is the name of this text box? It is txt. And then right, we are calling txt.pack. So this will place that text box inside your window. Okay, so let us run it again and see what has happened. So you see here, now this is a label we have. This is a label. This label I'm providing it for this text box. Okay, so this is your text box. This is what a entry widget is. So in this entry widget, right, I'm providing a name for this text box. That's like we have seen it for Google, right? So we are providing a name for this text box, and that is hello world. Okay, and after this we are creating a button here, and the name of this button is check. Okay, so you see the code here. So we have created a label, we have created a text box, and then now we have creating a button. Okay, so tk enter dot button. Again, right, it is stick to the window. What is the name of that button? Name of that button is check. Okay, see here, name of the button is check. And then, right, what is the behavior that I'm expecting? If I go and click this check, if I go and click this button, then, right, this function it has to call. Clicked, it has to call. So this is the function that we have defined, the behavior that we have defined. Now, this, right, now whatever is typed in this text box, that is right in txt. If you want to if you want to extract the text that the user has typed, you have to say txt.get. So whatever the user has typed, so that, right, it will be available in this. It will be returned when you call txt.get. Okay, so when you call get method, it will return the text that the user has entered. So once we got the text, you just say welcome that text. Okay, and then, right, what I'm doing is in this label, right, already in this label we are having hello world. So I'm going and changing this label as this string. What is this string? Suppose I have entered Python in the text box. I have entered Python. Okay, now, right, I'm after entering Python. You see here in the text box I am entering Python. After entering Python, I am clicking this check. When I click this check, what is happening? It will go to clicked function. Now click function will be called. So I will get txt.get will return Python. So I will get welcome Python. Okay, and the label that we have defined, the hello world label, in this label that we have defined, I'm going and changing the text of that label as welcome Python. Okay, so you how to change it? You have to say what is the name of the widget, right? This is the name of the widget, and then we are putting a configure. Okay, so this will define a new property for that label. So what is the property that we are defining? The text that is present here, the text, right, that is present here, that we are modifying it as res, whatever the value that is present in res variable. What is the value that is present in res? It is welcome Python. Okay, so now, right, instead of hello world, now we will get the label renamed as welcome Python. So let us see here. I'm entering Python. I'm clicking check. See, the hello world is getting changed as welcome Python. Okay, so this is how, right, we define the behavior. So again, right, it waits. You see, the program, it is not stopped because, right, we have used a window.main loop. As a result, the program still waits. This window is not closed. Suppose I'm entering, right, again hello, right, and then clicking check. So it is now changing it as welcome hello. Okay, changing the label as welcome hello. Right. So like this, right, again it waits for an event, right, to something to happen. So nothing happens, right, because you can't see. The event is getting executed, but since it is the same output, you are not able to see the difference. Okay. So once, right, how you come out of this program, because this program is waiting in an infinite loop, you go and close this program. That's all. Okay. Now if you see, it is returning back to the command prompt. Now if there is any error, then you will get the error here. Okay. For example, let us say, right, I have instead of using tk enter button, suppose I am missing that. Okay, now what is the error that I will get? See, I'm getting an error saying that name button is not defined. Okay, so whatever the error, right, that the program throws, that error, right, we will get it in the command prompt. Okay, so you take the first program, right, and then you try this program. So I will place this program here. Take this program, right, and then run this program and see whether you are getting the output. If you're not getting the output right, then if there is something wrong with your program, what you do is you install the Python version correctly. Okay, so you have to install at least 3.6. Only then, right, you will get this. Okay, so you go to downloads, right, and then you download, right, whatever is the latest. You uninstall, right, all the previous Python versions, install, right, whatever is the latest, and then you try this program if it is not working. Okay, so thank you, right, we will stop here. So if you have any doubts, you can ask.